Welcome back to the ABL Champions Review. Here we're talking about the Week 5 games. So, let's hop into the games. We've got some admin to go over at the end for the championship week and maybe a look to the future. So, starting with our first game of the week, we've got Ishii taking on Mike. Now, this one feels weird putting first because it did have some playoff stakes, but just the way it went, I feel like it's fair to cover it early. So, the speed for this one's on fast because it's a long one. I'll be stopping along the way to talk about some stuff. So here we got Sinistra versus the Crocodile lead. Like, face matchup, probably not good for Ishii, but also it's like Mike probably can't KO. I think Ishii makes the right play here by just straight up going for Strength Sap, because he probably would have lived a knockoff and then been able to get all of that HP back and been in a good position. But actually just Strength Saps the Dragonite here, which also at face value looks really good. You just lowered the attack of an incoming physical attacker against a physically defensive Pokemon, but actually busts out the Air Slash. Now at this point, I was like, man, Ishii's already let his primary check to Starmie get weakened. This is obviously not good, not very good. But we'll go from here. So Reflect goes up, obviously the wrong call there. Thinking this is going to be physical. Probably thought he was in a really good spot being able to get up that Reflect. But he is able to just go into the Soongudra, eat up this Dragon Pulse. We also get a double switch. Oh man, I guess I probably need to go normal for a little bit. We got Snorlax coming in against the Gudra, and then the Skarmory coming in against the Dragonite that was on the field for a second there, probably just to kind of scout if it also had Earthquake or something like that. Which I think good scout there. And then we also get another double switch, and we get the Skarmory in here, and it gets up the rocks against the Dragonite. It's going to hard switch out back into the Gudra because it can obviously wall this special attacking Gudra. But now, special attacking Dragonite. Gudra's going to start throwing off attacks, able to easily soak up by the Snorlax, and the curse goes up. This is pretty interesting because after a couple curses, there's not much on this team that can really directly threaten the Snorlax. Quaquaval's the biggest one, but if he gives up 2 or 3 curses, this probably isn't doing a lot of damage. It's got really good special defense too, so I don't hate this play. But we'll get into a very obvious issue with the team construction as a whole a little bit later. So Reflect is going to go up on Glamora's side of the field. Obviously, at +2, this is kind of like a neutral hit now, any attacks that come out. But he's just going to go for another curse there. Now, I think immediately, I guess you haven't shown what your set is. I think a common Snorlax set is, the coverage you'd go with is Body Press Earthquake, or not Body Press Earthquake, Body Slam Earthquake. I obviously don't think you would do that with a Sinistra around, so like Crunch Body Slam is a possibility, but then also we're not seeing the leftovers come up here. So we don't know what has leftovers yet, but we know it's not this, which leads me to think this is Chesto, Resto, and not Sleep Talk, which actually opens up maybe another. So we know we've got probably Curse, probably Rest. So definitely Curse, probably Rest. And then I also am biased because I know what he actually has. He's got Crunch potentially. I think those are things that you would think would be there. And we're going to actually get the hard switch into the Dragonite, which I get that, but I also, you're not really making a lot of headway with Snorlax. Maybe you're scouting for a body press or something here, but I think you were set up enough that you didn't have to switch. I don't think you should have given that up. But it didn't really matter because Whirlwind comes out. That's super bad for Dragonite because he took rocks for no reason. He's going to have to come in and take rocks again. Also, something to keep an eye on, particularly with your rocks weak Pokemon. You should make sure that their HP stat, when everything's said and done, is odd, because this Dragonite, as stands right now, would die if it took no damage other than rocks 4 times. Like, it would die on the 4th switch in. It would be left with 0 HP. If you have an odd number, you're guaranteed to be left with 1 HP. So I think it's kind of important to do. Just some best practice there. But Tinkaton's going to get dragged out. And then this kind of like leads on to what the main problem with this team here is that there is the only Pokemon on this team that can kill this Skarmory is this Dragonite. And with Rocks up, it's very limited as to how effective it can be. We do see the Grassy Terrain go up, so Grassy Terrain Reflect, Strength Sap, Sinistra. I really want to say I don't like this set, but I mean, it's really effective in this matchup against all physical attackers. I know that Ishii also said he wanted to have Grassy Terrain to weaken ground moves. I don't know. I think if I don't love manual Grassy Terrain. I don't think it's a good use of a move slot. I really feel like I'd rather see like Calm Mind or Shadow Ball on there. But that's just me personally, and hey, it worked out in this battle, so can't really say much, right? Hisuian Gudra's going to go ahead and come in here, as Dragonite's going to take the opportunity to get up a Roost. Now this Gudra doesn't have to worry about anything, because it's seen Air Slash, Dragon Pulse, Flamethrower, knows that the worst thing it can do to it is Dragon Pulse, which I think we saw last time did like 15%. Obviously, Dragonite's going to have to switch out, fearing an incoming Ice Beam, which actually the Flash Cannon comes out, I guess, to try to hit the potential incoming Tinkaton for a little bit more damage. And that's going to bring out the Skarmory. I'm going to see a Crunch go off. Now here, I think Mike makes a weird play. Yeah, I think you just, like, we know that the Skarmory is just going to go ahead and click Whirlwind. That's what it did last time. It's obviously its best option to hit you. Going into Dragonite again, just when it's going to get Whirlwinded out, I think you want Dragonite to get Whirlwinded in, so you need to go out to anything other than Dragonite, or just stay in and click Crunch. When you get into situations like this where your opponent's phasing you a lot, it's important not to go out to the Pokemon that you want to be in. And also, even if Dragonite comes in, he knows that the Gudra's just going to come in and be able to soak up anything. Tinkaton gets brought in, going to go for a knockoff, get rid of the Citrus Berry. I mean, that's good. Because that's going to hopefully help the Skarmory go down eventually. Dragonite's going to come in, gets the wrong switch. Obviously can't stand against the Gamora. Back out to Tinkaton. I think Mike is playing on the back foot for a good majority of this battle. Delphox is going to come in, take a Gigaton Hammer that is weakened by Reflect. Snorlax is going to come in to check the Delphox. Will-O-Wisp comes out, burns the Snorlax. Not really that big of a deal, because I think we're about to see the rest come out here. So rest, and we're going to see the Chesto Berry pop. So I don't know why you bother clicking Curse here, because we've seen it before, we see it again. Here comes the Whirlwind, gets rid of the Snorlax. I think you just go ahead and throw off a Crunch. But that time, I guess at least he's trying. Okay, he did the right thing. He finally got Whirlwind into Dragonite, but because he's wasted hits on this Dragonite by bringing it in the past, it's now down to 25%. It has to Roost, because if this Skarmory Whirlwinds it again, then it dies. So he has to Roost here. Skarmory, I think, makes the right play and goes for the Whirlwind. Good play there, because yeah. Mike has nothing to deal with this Skarmory. It's really a bad spot for him to be in. Now he's gonna, okay, and then we see the Encore come out versus Snorlax. I really don't get the point of Encore on this Snorlax, because as you click Curse, you get slower. You have less reliability of what you can lock your opponent into. They're probably locked into an attacking move, unless they're going to try to Swords Dance past you or something. I don't like this Snorlax set. I'm actually kind of, I know that Chesto Resto is pretty popular right now just due to the lack of leftovers and other items, but I'm really down on Chesto Resto because it gives you the one good heal, and then after that, I think it's a big detriment. So it really has to be used carefully. So Rapid Spin is going to get rid of the rocks on Ishii's side of the field. He's looking in a great spot here. Flip turns out on the Serena. Lamora comes in. Takes that opportunity to go ahead and get up the toxic spikes with the toxic debris. Very well done. Tinkaton has been shown to be the switch into that as a reflect goes up. And then Skarmory is just going to be able to come in and wall basically everything on this team. Skarmory could come in more often and it wouldn't be a big pain. Sinistcha has already now loses its leftovers. I think we're going to see a strength sap come out here. Yep. And now Sinistcha, who was on turn 2 at like 30%, is now back at full. And Hisuian Goodra are going to be able to come out and check this. Dragonite has to go for another roost because he can't get rid of these hazards. I don't know if Mike didn't bring hazard clearing. It's hard to fit it onto Starmie. I know that. Serena probably should have taken the time to try to rapid spin when it was in. And we'll see another reason for that later. The poison on Snorlax doesn't really matter too much because it does have rest, and it's just gonna really all it can afford to do is throw off crunches here. I think he rests on this roost. Yeah. So this was really frustrating to watch because now we've seen this Snorlax versus Skarmory matchup a couple of times, and it's just the most passive thing I've ever seen. Just like switch, hit a not very effective move, switch, the other person hits a not very effective move. It's a slow burn, and you know what? I mean, credit to Ishii. I think he's in the driver's seat right now. He's playing a really safe game that he is currently marching towards a win with. Mike's in the back. He needs to make more aggressive plays, and we'll talk about Starmie here towards the end of the battle. So see the Aqua Step come out and hit the incoming Serena. This is, I think, where Mike needed to make an aggressive play. And this is a luck-based play, but I think this is where he needed to make it. So we're going to see Serena here. Quick Claw's going to activate as he U-turns. So I guess he hasn't shown an item yet. Maybe he could be bluffing Scarf here. Maybe that's what this was. But if you're bluffing Scarf, you think your opponent's going to switch, and that's why you've clicked U-turn. But you're also... I think he should have just clicked the Trop Kick here or a Rapid Spin. Either get rid of these hazards. I think you need to rely on the Quick Claw here, because bluffing Scarf at this point is not a bold move because it actually doesn't gain you anything. If he had clicked Trop Kick on this turn, granted, he doesn't know Quick Claw is going to activate. Another problem with Quick Claw, since it's unreliable, you can't make plans around it. Probably should have clicked Trop Kick. I mean, obviously, especially since it procced here, the Quick Claw procced here. Would have killed Quaquaval. Maybe he could actually set up rocks again later with the Tinkaton and they'd stick, which would help him make some progress. But the U-turn actually puts him in such a bad spot because he's going to go into Tinkaton on this close combat, takes 66%. I actually don't know why Quaquaval didn't just click close combat again. He doesn't need to be +2 speed because now he's actually not even going to get the Moxie. If he clicks close combat there, he wins the game, I think. Potential. No, I guess he's not because he doesn't kill Dragonite. But we're going to get a flip turn on the Mega Starmie. Sinistcha's going to come in. Then Headbutt's going to come out and do 56%. This is the reason you need to have Mega Starmie come in. It's so threatening to this whole team. Sinistcha, the dedicated counter, is cleanly 2-hit KO'd by Zen Headbutt. You should have just done that to begin with. Skarmory's going to come in, take 33% from Ice Spinner. That's non-stab, not super effective. That means Liquidation would have done over 50%. This Starmie has 130 special attack. It could have clicked Thunderbolt, KO'd the Starmie cleanly here. Or Skarmory clearly here. This Starmie should have been in early and often. But now, between it being poisoned, having lost a little bit of HP, and having less Pokemon in the back to deal with, it's way behind. It's going to go ahead and, yeah, it's going to switch out here. Dragonite's going to come in, take another round of damage because this is the only Pokemon right now that can kill the Skarmory. And now we're back in the loop we were in. Now Goodra gets burned. That's good for Mike. We're going to see the Snorlax come back in. It's burned 2 turns of sleep. Yep, Flash Cannon. We've seen this happen already so many times. Here comes the Skarmory. We got a curse set up, and then Skarmory's just going to whirlwind this out. and we're right back to where we were 20 turns ago. Mega Starmie comes in this time. The defense drop means that like Liquidation is a potential KO here. I don't think he gets it, but I mean Thunderbolt definitely would have been a KO. Okay, so he does go for the Waterfall. Oh, he's Waterfall, not Liquidation. Picks up the KO on Glamora. The other round of Toxic Spike goes up. Doesn't matter at this point. Now Skarmory can come in. No defense drop means that it's just going to be able to click Roost, and this Mega Starmie is going to die to Poison. So that is a season wrap on Mega Starmie. Got 5, maybe 6 kills, which I think 2 or 3 of them came last week against Zheng. Otherwise, kind of a disappointing showing, which I'm bummed about because I don't think anybody wants Brett or Zach to draft this Pokemon potentially in Season 25. So Dragonite's going to come in again. It's going to have to... Does it actually go for Flamethrower here? Yep. Nope. Has to click Roost because it can't get rid of those hazards. Tankaton now comes in and like it's... Yeah, we actually see the rest from Goodra, so it's way healthier. Now I'm going to put it on fast because at this point it's a foregone conclusion. There's nothing really that can be done. The Tankaton's able to hang on to the Flamethrower there, get a little bit more HP off there. I mean, it ended up doing around 50% to Goodra at the end of the day, but not really enough. This is going to be an opportunity for Quaquaval. It could have set up if it wanted to, but just going to flip turn out, chip that Dragonite a little bit more. That's the first direct damage the Dragonite's taken. And Delphoc's going to be able to Dazzling Gleam there. Obviously scouting for a Scarf Crocodile here, because that's probably what it is. And yep, so locked into knockoff there. Now we're just going to Whirlwind around. And then Skarmory didn't even need to Roost here. This is extra safe because he knows he's got another turn that he's going to be able to get Quaquaval in cleanly. Going to come in, Aqua Step, get the Moxie KO. And that's it. That's the show. Ishii really, like, once he got the last, he played safe and, kind of set up all of the dominoes to fall very quickly at the end there. You know what? I don't think Mike built a bad team. I think he probably, in hindsight, would have wanted something else for Skarmory, but he needed to play more aggressively. This is a very passive game by Mike, and that's something he needs to address in the team here. I think like this isn't even like a defensive team, but he played it very defensive and relied a lot on Snorlax that had a negative matchup once we revealed Whirlwind on Skarmory. So that was longer than I wanted it to be, but hey, it's a really long battle. Going to our next battle, we've got Zheng taking on Zane. Now this is a battle that wasn't for any stakes. It was kind of, so this is kind of a foregone conclusion. So we get neither of them can make the playoffs and neither of them can affect any playoff outcomes here. We're going to get the U-turn Greninja onto the Rotom-Mow. Diggersby's going to come in on the Volt Switch. Now just based on this turn right here, that tells me that this is probably a Choice Scarf Rotom-Mow, which means the Greninja outsped it, so it's probably a Choice Scarf Greninja. Boom, we've identified the 2 Scarfers on each side of the field. Obviously this is a great matchup for Chesnaught to come in on. I don't really know why we see, we see the Quick Attack because it was just switched in. Emboar is going to come in on the Chesnaught as an Iron Defense goes up. Going to do all the damage he can, which isn't a lot to a +2 defense Mega Chesnaught. Body Press is going to clean KO. Ren's going to come in. I think Zane probably should have seen this coming, the extra sensory. But I think he does, he takes it as an opportunity to come in and have Blastoise set up, which is great. It's a good spot for him to be in. Liquidation's going to come out, bring the Weavile all the way down to Sash. Psycho Cut's not going to do a lot of damage. And we're just going to be able to see Blastoise put in a lot of work here. It gets the defense drop on Corviknight. Really bad luck for Corby there. Another Liquidation's going to be able to take it down. Zane's going to come in with his +2 Gren. Unfortunately doesn't get the flinch. He's going to go down to yet another Liquidation from this Blastoise. Quick Attack, but now it's in range where Quick Attack from Diggersby can take it out. Starmie's going to come in and Scald gets a burn here, which is bad news for Zheng, because if he didn't get the burn, Body Slam, not only it would have done 80%, which would have been easily in range of quick attack. And then also, like, yeah, I mean, then we're going to see another body slam come out, not get the KO, but he is going to be fully paralyzed. Now he can pick off with, oh no, he just goes for another body slam, of course. That makes sense. But at this point, Zhang doesn't have enough tools to really compete here. I think Zane plays really smart and just kind of switching around to kind of make that burn damage go down. Doesn't have to risk too much, too much of anything here. Levitate on the Rotomo gets around it. Now he's going to go into Diggersby as just kind of a middle ground play. Also, it's good positioning for what's left. Beedrill's going to come out, go for the dual wing beat. Not something you see too often on a Beedrill. Dragonclaw is going to... that's crazy that Beedrill lived an attack. Granted, it's on 1%. Actually, I'm going to pull up a calc over here and see what the chances of that were, because I'm quite honestly shocked. So, bear with me. Komodo, Dragonclaw, 32. Oh, wow. Okay, so Dragonclaw is only a 25% chance to Oko if this is like Jolly Komodo. So that's interesting. But yeah, Beedrill able to hang on and then able to follow up with another dual wing beat, keeping this a little bit closer than it would have been otherwise, because now there's two Pokemon at 1%. And also, like, Rotomo probably could have just come and cleaned up, because it's fast, or actually no, it's probably not faster than Mega Beedrill. Who am I kidding? But Sucker Punch able to get through. Zhang had said, like, oh man, what if he like tried to Swords Dance, play around some stuff and try to pressure stall the Sucker Punches. Would have been cool if he could do that. We haven't seen a lot of pressure stall tactics, but which I thought might be a bigger thing coming into the champion season, but it doesn't seem to be. Anyways, but that's that, and now we can move on to our marquee match of the week.
Marquee match of the week. Now we have a theme.
Now, I don't usually put myself in the marquee match of the week, but due to the fact that this was a close battle down the line here, and the fact that it was, determining a playoff spot, I figured it was appropriate. So let's hop into the battle. So I've got the lead with Tyranitar versus Rotomosh. And I also do want to say this is a weird battle to plan for, because it was tough to want, because if I went all out, like if I brought like the best possible team I could, then I played Dakota with that team, and if I win, then I don't face Dakota again. But if I pull out all the stops and I lose to Dakota, then I have to go back to the drawing board next week and play him again. Because if this is the situation, if Dakota wins, he goes to finals. If he loses, he's out. So this is the first iteration of the team. I just kind of built it, and I built this before the Ishii and Mike match had happened, so I didn't know really what the stakes of this match were specifically. But I was just like, I'm just gonna bring a team that I think has a chance to win, but I'm not gonna get super fancy because I want to leave myself more options to kind of experiment if I have to play again. So that's the team that I built, and that's the team that I ended up bringing. I didn't change my team prep after I found out that Mike and the outcome of the Mike and Ishii match. So the game plan here was just to get up rocks as soon as possible. And I had Focus Sash T-Tar just to get up the rocks. I knew I was going to eat a Will-O-Wisp, but that didn't really matter. The goal was to get up rocks. And then I'm also happy just to get rid of the leftovers, try to keep this Rotom-Wash as low as I can as the battle goes on, because it's one of the things stopping Palafin from being able to really do some good damage. Hydro Pump's going to come out. Sucks to take that much damage with it, but I didn't have, obviously looking at my team, I don't have anything else that can really safely come in on a Hydro Pump. So I'm going to go ahead and get Hatterene in. Volt Switch is going to do more damage than I'd like it to. I was hoping that he was going to stay in because Hydro Pump wouldn't have KO'd again, and I would have been able to get like a decent amount of HP back. I also figured there was a chance he could go into like Mamoswine to block like a Nuzzle, or maybe Meowscarada to block a Psychic. So just go for Draining Kiss. It actually does a lot more damage than I thought it was going to do. Like, it's a resisted low PP hit, or not PP, low BP hit versus Fortress. But I am just going to be able to stay in here. I speed crept this Fortress, so go for the Mystical Fire. I'm super happy now because rocks are here to stay. Hatterene's basically done its job, and Tyranitar's basically done its job. So those are just now 2 pawns that I can use to help position myself. And Charizard is currently at 50% HP, and it's just going to... Dakota switches a lot. He does a lot of U-turn Volt Switch, especially with these 2 guys right here. I wanted to make sure I had hazards up. And, achieved. Meowscarada is going to come in. We're going to the guy I specifically picked up for Meowscarada, for Meowscarada. Resists knockoff, U-turn, Flower Trick, and Triple Axle. So that's exactly why Endeavor is here. And Citrus Berry didn't... Whatever item I put on that was basically a waste, because I knew Meowscarada was just going to come in and get rid of it. Close Combat comes out, does a pretty good amount of damage. I don't really want to risk any sort of speed tie stuff here, especially now that I'm at -1. And I know that there's nothing else that I need T-Tar for, so we're just going to go into it. This is probably a questionable play that I'm making here. So he's at -1 defenses, and he just took a round of sand damage. I send in Baby Palafin here. Both Flip Turn and Jet Punch have a 31% chance to KO from this range. And I know he can't, unless he's like... I didn't calc him to be Black Belt, so unless he crits, he can't KO me with Close Combat. He would have to have Wild Charge or something, which Dakota said he almost had, but he ended up not having it. So I'm like, this is fine. I'm just going to go for the... Because also, if I go for Jet Punch and don't get the KO, then he would have died to Wild Charge anyways. He would have died to sand damage, even if... So, which I believe we see here. So Jet Punch doesn't pick up the KO. Yeah, Close Combat also doesn't pick up the KO, but he's going to go down to sand damage. I'm going to take a little bit too. So I'm happy with the position that put me in, because I got rid of one of his potential Scarfers here. I already know, based on the knockoff damage and the fact that he switched moves, that this is Black Glasses Meowscarada, but we're going to do what Paldean Taurus was designed to take on Meowscarada. He's going to take that U-turn pretty darn well. Charizard's going to come in. This is a speed tie, so I couldn't really risk anything, but we also know that Hatterene is not really useful right here, and we see the Air Slash come out. 2 things. First of all, smart of Dakota to stay in regular form. I can't KO him if I can't hit him super effectively, or not even neutrally with like Close Combat or something. So even risking the speed tie, staying in that form was the right choice. But now, unless he's got Roost, this Charizard is dead, cannot come in again. Actually, I want to go back real quick. I want to check something, because I harped on it earlier in the battle, and I want to make sure I give it its due. Let's see. Charizard comes in 50%. So Dakota also made the same mistake Mike did. And if your Pokemon are taking notable damage from Stealth Rocks, you should make sure that their HP value is odd. Please remember to do that. It's just the right thing to do. So Air Slash gonna come and KO Rowena here. Now also, with this sand damage, oh, hold on, pause. So let me take this back. I don't remember why I did this. So I let that go down. I brought in Rotom Heat. I don't remember why I brought in Rotom Heat. Looking at this, I feel like I probably should have brought in Palafin, but I didn't. So, but I'm slow, and I'm going to be able to go for a Volt Switch here. Just get off a little bit of chip damage. I think I just wanted to kind of see more of his set and figure out what he was. But we see the Dragon Dance. I think that's a fair play to make here, but he is... Oh, maybe I just wanted to make sure that I didn't have to take any sand damage. But I'm able to go for Jet Punch here. Actually it's a guaranteed 2-hit KO on the Meowscarada at that range. So I'm excited. I know that Charizard is coming in dead. I know I can guaranteed KO Mamoswine here. So with the pieces I have left, I am feeling really solid. I'm going to go into Excadrill here just because, like, I don't know, he might Volt Switch, he might Hydro Pump. I know I need Palafin still. In hindsight, I should have gone into Tauros, but I changed my mind too slowly. Dakota's going to hit the Hydro Pump here. Good prediction. Would have KO'd everything on my team, but he made the right play. He's playing in the back, and he's making the aggressive plays to be able to keep himself close in this. I know I outspeed the Rotom, and all I need to do is hit a close combat on it to guarantee that it is in range of close combat from Palafin. So I'm going to go for it here. Dakota smartly sacks the Charizard, and we're going to see Mamoswine come in, and he also makes a smart move. He makes another smart move here and goes for Stone Edge. I don't know that it would have killed Paldean Tauros, but it was 100% the right move to go for because he caught the Rotom Heat. But now I'm able to go into Palafin. Gonna go for Jet Punch, guaranteed KO. Even if he had switched into Rotom, I'm guaranteed to KO after a Jet Punch and Stealth Rock with a close combat. So I'm in good shape now. Obviously, I don't have enough. Yeah, so I go for the close combat here. Almost takes him out, but I know that Rotom can't do anything to KO Paldean Tauros. So it's going to come in, pick up the last 1% HP. I was able to play pretty safely there at the end because of how I positioned myself. My game plan went really well. Dakota and I talked about this. I don't think he made any bad plays. I think I just beat him in prep with the speed creep on Hatterene and just the overall game plan. I think Dakota played really well. I don't think he did anything dumb. Just maybe there was some prep he could have done a little bit better, caught me off guard. But that is the end of the regular season. So let's head over to the dock. I want to make note of something. In section... That's section 6. I need to renumber these, but I'm not going to bother with it right now. Section 6, Rule 5.9, only items at the time of draft will be permitted. This is because at time of recording, 6/16/26, we are expecting an update to Pokemon Champions tomorrow on the 17th. Obviously, my battle against Ishii has not happened. Now, based on there is a little bit of concern about updates to the game. The things I anticipate being in the game, or coming to the game, are new Pokemon, which doesn't matter. We didn't draft any of the new Pokemon. New items, so I put in the rule about only items available at the time of draft. And then I think there's also something in there, it's like only moves and move sets available and abilities and stuff available at the time of draft. So we're going to do our best to abide by that. There is an outside chance that, because Pokemon had said there's going to be balance patches. If they change accuracy of moves, base power of moves, PP, stuff like that, obviously I don't think we can control that in Pokemon Showdown. So I think we'll just have to play with that. As long as we don't use illegal movesets or illegal items, I don't think it will have a significant impact on my battle with Ishii. If something big changes for our Pokemon that it's just like, oh man, now Sinistra is absolutely broken because they gave it I don't know, what's a move that could make it too powerful. I don't know. That was maybe a bad example. But let's say they gave a move to a Pokemon that's on our team, or maybe gave it like a weird stat boost or something. They just gave Sinistra 50 extra stat points. Then we might have to figure that out. But I don't anticipate that happening, but just wanted to make a heads up there. But yeah, looking at the schedule, I got to put this in. So we got BKN versus SFSF. So, and this isn't the North playoffs. This is Champions playoffs. We use one doc for everything. Yeah. So I'm playing Ishii next week to determine who's the Champions champion. Looking at the standings real quick, you can see that we have 2 3-2 teams, but obviously Ishii last week beat Dakota to be able to hold the tiebreaker there. So well done, Ishii. I think he started out 0-2, won 3 straight games, and they were all games he needed to win. And I mean, need to win most. Everyone needs to win games, but he won the right games at the right time and made it to playoffs. So congratulations on that. I think that's probably all I have for you this week. After this is done, I think we're going to have to wait to see how Regulation MB kind of shakes out. And then maybe we'll start looking at some stuff for Season 25, depending on how people feel about it. Because I don't know how people feel about the Champions meta. Maybe they'll feel differently once we have a new wave of Pokemon in there. But I'm excited for what is potentially to come. So thank you all for listening. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.